That's good.
Can I?
Wow.
No, I wanted to ask Nancy, is there a sustainability fair this year?
Yeah. Oh, no, not fair, no.
Are they
We're gonna
having,
do it every other year. We
okay,
find,
are
yeah.
they having, if they're having any events,
We got it to you.
you got it to me?
Jan, Medcalf said about the movie we're gonna have,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, awesome, thank you.
Yeah, it's the end of June, she had to change the date, but I emailed her, they were away, I just emailed, so were we, I just emailed her and she said, yeah, I got it in.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, we're back in public session. First item on our public agenda tonight is the Pledge of Allegiance. Nancy, will you lead us?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Carol?
Mr. Chair, can I make a motion?
Yep.
I make a motion to seal the minutes of April 6, 2023, to seal the minutes of the non-public session indefinitely.
Is there a second? Second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's 5-0. Non-public and public meeting minutes of March 16th.
I make a motion to approve the non-public and public meeting minutes of March 16th.
Second?
Any questions, concerns, comments on the minutes? All those in favor? I would expect an abstentions. Yeah. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? Aye. Two abstentions. 302, thank you. The consent agenda and manifests April 6, 2023.
I'm gonna miss Anita. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda for April 6, 2023. Accounts payable payment manifest dated 3/23/23. Accounts payable payment manifest dated 3/30/23. Accounts payable payment manifest dated 4/6/23. Payroll payment manifest dated 3/30/23. Distribution of funds from the accrued wages fund in the amount of $11,869.20. Distribution of funds from the building maintenance fund in the amount of $2,434.32. Distribution of funds from the building maintenance fund in the amount of $49.74. Distribution of funds from the building maintenance fund in the amount of $462.50. Distribution of funds from the building maintenance fund in the amount of $350. Distribution of funds from the Recreation Patriotic Trust Fund in the amount of $600. Distribution of funds from the building maintenance fund in the amount of $224.22. Transfer of funds from the town's general fund for sewer department's operating fund in the amount of $230,301.26. Transfer of funds from the sewer department's operating fund to the town's general fund in the amount of $408,291.31. Transfer of funds from the town's general fund to the water department's operating fund in the amount of $10,484.32. Transfer of funds from the water department's operating fund to the town's general fund in the amount of $161,170.24. 2023 MS 232 report of appropriates or appropriations actually voted.
Appropriations, sorry.
And veterans credit from map lot 209-014 in the amount of $500. Administrative abatement from map lot 220-015-141 in the amount of $199.40. Administrative abatement from map lot 106-007 in the amount of $500. Appointment of Michael Lacasse as health officer. Appointment of Christina Goodwin as deputy health officer. Removal of credits and/or exemptions as they no longer qualify for map lot 104-058, map lot 114-132, map lot 115-004, map lot 205-017. Settlement and refund for case 30259-20PT, 2022 Board of Tax and Land Appeals for Eversource in the amount of $1,200. transfer funds from the EMS fundraiser account to the town's general fund in the amount of $20. Correct the current use application for map lot 219-039.
Two pager.
Yeah, that might be the
Nice.
longest one yet.
Yeah. Seconded by Carol. Are there any items that any members wish to talk about separately? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's 5-0. So the blue folder will be items on here, and the orange folder will be payroll and accounts payable for the class. You can start signing anytime you want. Yeah. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the election of the officers and appointments to committees.
I make a motion to have, if he agrees, to have Sean be the chair for next year.
A second.
That was quick.
There's a motion and a second. Does anyone else want it? I'd be happy to serve.
That's what happens when you do a good job.
Yeah. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain. That's 4-0-1. I would like to, and it's not official, I don't think, but we have appointed vice chairs in case I'm not here or can't make a meeting. And so, does anyone want to serve?
Are you gonna do it?
I nominate Les.
There, thank you very much. I will second. Any discussion? Les, will you do that?
Yes.
Yeah. Any discussion, questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Abstain.
Abstentions, that is 4-0-1.
We-
I think that's good for officers, right? Yeah.
That's good. And then in your, which is up on the screen, this is just a little checklist to
Yep.
just review everything that needs to be done
Sure.
also with this.
Yeah.
Whoops. All right, well, I have to wait for it to go.
Does the first and third Thursday work for this board?
Also in your folders, it'll be under, down further apparently. 04 SB2, that's the select board meeting schedule currently for the rest of the year. It's hidden right now. I can't, but do the first and third Thursdays work for everyone?
Works well for me.
The chamber, Central New Hampshire Chamber is the third Thursday, I don't know. They just changed it to that too, which is odd, but it was on a Tuesday, so
Same time or evening?
evening, yeah, usually 5 to 7 after hours,
Is that a work obligation?
kinda.
Yeah.
But I haven't spoken to them to see if that's gonna be something they plan on holding permanently, so.
Okay.
I mean, I'm okay with most nights. Thursdays.
Thursdays work.
I'll be late on some Thursdays like tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably no later than tonight, 5:30.
Okay.
My thought was maybe change it second and fourth, I don't know if that matters, or keeping it a Thursday night, just going second and fourth, but let me reach out to,
Yeah, if you could do that before we make a change.
just reach out to Maddie and
Okay.
So it would be better if you did keep it on Thursdays, one, because it's really gonna be hard to bump other committees.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
Second and fourth will bump a committee, but we can rearrange that with them. One of them is the PIMI, but they were doing opposite of the select board, the CIP and the PIMI PAC committee, but those are easier to fix
might
those.
reverse those.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
If we did change to second and fourth, I would not be around for the fourth week of this month.
Just this month?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the second Thursday would be tough for me because I have meetings at the center booked around these meetings, but I'm
Yeah.
sure I could change things to make it work.
All right, well, let's not change anything
yeah,
yet.
no,
Let's see
leave
where.
it as is.
Yeah. Okay,
I added if I can get back to the right document now, let's get rid of this.
Just put my honeymoon around too.
I added the infamous summertown meeting.
Which document you want?
It's SB1, 04 SB1 in your
Thank you.
folders. It's something I created kind of to keep track of at one
Yeah.
good time comes around.
I'm not enamored with the summertown meeting. We hardly ever got, the last few years, we hardly ever got anybody there. I think we held the, and I can remember some good attendance at that. But I think, frankly, our communication has gotten a lot better, and I think with all of the access to the meetings and minutes and everything else, I think it's not as needed as it used to be.
Well, it's tough too, because you're asking all the employees to come out on
Yeah.
a Saturday in
Yeah.
the summer.
And they outnumbered, the last
Oh,
3 or
yeah.
4 years, they outnumbered
Yeah.
The people,
the,
yeah,
yeah.
Definitely.
okay. What, we can start with appointments, budget committee?
So for Budget Committee, Carol served the Budget Committee last year. They meet generally, was it Tuesday nights? Monday? Tuesday nights.
now.
Used to be.
They
I
don't
tried
really
to get
start
it to go
until, I think, September.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said he wanted to move it maybe earlier this year, but yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna start in August this year.
Yeah. Does anybody have a desire for any of the opens to economic development?
Yeah, so you have,
So who dropped off? Don was on?
Yeah, Don was on planning, so Les did economic development. Don did planning board,
Anita did historic district,
yep.
and Anita was your public safety building committee rep. She stayed on as an individual,
Yeah.
but we still need a board member potentially.
Okay.
And then, any other, but,
Do you want to stay on budget, or do you want to do
I'd
something
be
different?
interested in EDC or public safety building.
I can say on budget, it's time consuming.
I mean, I don't mind
For me
taking
now,
budget,
but-
I used to do budget, if
Okay.
you're not interested, but if you want to stay on.
I'm open to do anything, let's see whatever works. I can do it if you want.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't mind,
I'd like,
what's his name?
yeah, what's his name? Rob. Sorry, let's go. Rob said that he's interested in public safety building committee, and I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yep, makes sense.
is there any need for an alternate for that?
I don't think so. No, we'll fill in as if we need to. Planning board is a big one that we're missing. I could do historic district. I didn't do anything last year, but I don't, in terms of committees.
Oh, I can tell you what nights they meet, that might help you as well,
Yeah.
sorry. Budget committee is Tuesdays, and that schedule is going to be weird. They're not gonna be a specific Tuesday. Because we're trying to make it around zoning, or so we don't have to bump them out of this room, because it's really hard to hold a public hearing, on Zoom
Yeah.
up at the old town hall. Economic Development Committee are Wednesday nights. I think it's the third Wednesday. Yeah, third Wednesday. Historic District is the second Tuesday. But they don't always meet, they only have to meet 4 times a year in order to keep our CLG status, or Certified Local Government status. Planning Board meets the second and fourth Wednesday. The second is usually public hearings, the fourth is usually a workshop. Public Safety Building Committee, how much do you think that will pick up? It's been Thursday.
I think it's gonna stay the same.
Every 2 weeks.
2 weeks, Thursday
Okay.
morning.
Thursday morning, so.
I mean, I'd say I could do planning board, but that might conflict on one conservation
Oh.
commission, maybe that doesn't make sense. And it's probably less time for me to do budget than planning board in the long run. Unless somebody else wants to do budget.
Planning Board's gonna be busier for you.
Yeah, it's probably.
If nobody else is interested, I would be interested in EDC.
Well, I think you would.
If somebody else is interested.
I mean, I'll do public safety building too, you know, if that's, are you doing both? or-
Public safety's on Thursday mornings. You're gonna be-
Oh, Thursday
Thursday
mornings, yeah, no, I
mornings,
can't
yeah.
do morning.
Okay, so you can do public safety. I think that Carol had expressed EDC.
I'm up.
Or budget. either
I said,
one. Or less.
I can do whatever you guys want me to do. I can stay on budget. Probably planning board is too much for me right now, really.
Yeah.
EDC.
And it may be with conservation commission, it may be a tiny conflict that,
I can do planning board,
You can do Wednesday evenings.
Wednesday evenings.
They're
It's not
twice,
What
the second and fourth Wednesday.
do you wanna do budget? Do you wanna stay on EDC? Do you wanna move around? Should we do
No, if
something?
you want to, you said EDC?
Unless somebody else is interested.
I mean,
Well, Les has had it for the last couple of years. I think
Yeah, I don't
she'd like
wanna,
to-
I don't wanna.
Well, I think she'd
push
like to
someone
switch
out.
around.
Yeah.
Well, I have
It's
to,
good.
yeah, I don't mind going back to budget. I haven't been able to make some of the EDC meetings because it's conflicted with marathon meetings, which has
Yeah.
been a bummer, so.
Yeah,
Alright,
I can
so-
do a Wednesday night a month.
So less on budget.
Yeah, so Tuesday nights are tough for me, so.
You want EDC.
Sure.
Or unless you want planning.
And Scott can do planning. That'll free you up a little bit for your other duties. What are we missing?
You said you do HDC?
I do ATC.
They have a meeting next week.
Okay, I can do that. That leaves me with nothing, but I'm not complaining, but,
But let's put you on alternate.
Alternates, yeah.
okay.
We'll put you on the
Every
alternates
committee.
Yeah,
for everything.
fine. Yeah,
Yeah. You'll be a designated alternate.
yeah. Put me in, coach.
Okay,
Does that cover everything?
yeah, yes. Well, it's not on this list, but there was one more thing that I was, it was in the back of your folders, so, we've done it more than one town administrator.
Oh. Go ahead.
We've done it more than one town administrator, but we did goal setting sessions for the board because this one's the one here from 2019. A lot has changed since 2019. I'm meeting with Primex on Monday to talk to them about facilitating it if the board has an interest in doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
It was really
Yeah.
helpful when we were.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will talk to her and get some more information back to you about that. And then that's it for appointments and
Okay. Fund policy. Fund with a D.
So there's two versions in your packet. For some reason, when you change these to a PDF, you can't see the changes anymore. So the Word document is the edited version. It shows you what was changed. We have to adopt this before the auditors come, which is in 2 weeks. One of the main changes are pretty much just formatting. The one change that I'll point out to you is and this came from the finance officer. If we look at letter F, plan to achieve minimum unassigned fund balance, everything else is really formatting, or minor changes, but he's recommending to take that whole sentence out.
Who's that again?
The finance officer. He's saying, and his reasoning is basically it's saying annually the town is going to add a line in the operating budget for building up the fund balance. The town doesn't need to add any more money into the fund balance. The current way, like all other towns, is to increase fund balance is by increasing revenue, less expenditures,
Right.
and it works fine annually. So
I
he's
agree.
recommending to
I agree
remove
with
that.
that. That's,
So those are the changes, so you can see the edited version, but the clean version makes it easier to read. And then it's been prepared for you to vote on and adopt tonight if you can.
okay. And that is, okay. Yep.
Which one? You have a question?
No,
about that?
I'm talking to myself, sorry.
Okay.
There's some signatures missing here.
Yeah, there was a payroll signature missing from March 16th. They signed it, don't worry about that. But
All right, any questions on the fund policy? This is kind of housekeeping. We re-adopt these as needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a real quick question.
Sure.
Under the categories, which one where does it fall under what DRA's requirement is? Is that the non-expendable fund balance?
The unassigned fund balance. Well,
Yeah, everybody has a different name for it.
Oh, unassigned,
Yeah.
okay.
Unassigned.
Or assigned?
Unassigned.
Even unassigned, isn't there still a restriction on what you can spend on that?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, absolutely. You have some discretion in the case of a declared natural disaster. Otherwise, you can only take out from those monies to set your tax rate.
Yeah.
Or through a vote at town meeting. Which is
But
what,
even outside of that, isn't there a percentage you need to leave in there?
there's no requirement, there's a recommendation.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's between 5 and 17%.
Okay,
So,
I was curious.
Yep, yep. We've historically been at the higher end of that. That's changed the last few years because of things. But it is, some towns don't carry it at all, which I think is crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, we've always tried to have at least that 5%. It's a guideline from the state, it's not a requirement. Okay,
You want a motion?
sure.
I make a motion to approve the town of Bristol fund balance policy as amended.
Second by Scott. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's 5-0.
Yes, sir. Oh, no, that's the one we just did.
Do you have that, Christina, or is
It's
that?
coming around.
Okay.
On signatures in general, do all of them need to be dated?
I can date, no, you can skip the dates, that's fine.
Someone wrote the wrong year.
Well, I don't even know if I dated the orange folder.
Yeah, don't worry
Some
about
of them
it.
missing.
We will go, we usually go through, make sure we have at least 3 signatures, and we will date whatever we need to, so.
Yeah, I haven't signed any of those yet. I'll do it at the end. Yeah. All right.
Christina, do you need this back?
If you're off, yes, if you're off, you can just pass it back around or leave it with Sean, we'll get it at the end, but thank you.
Okay, Sustainability Committee.
There is an emailing, under number 6. That's what Nancy Dowdy's here to speak to you about. It says 06 regarding select board meeting. It's just a small, they're here to talk to you about a restaurant project that they want to start in May.
A restaurant?
Is that's what it says, yeah.
No? Well, hi.
I'm Nancy Dowley, I'm chair of the Sustainability Committee. For the new members, I know you're really busy, but you can go on the website and you can see all the stuff we've done. We started in 2020. And a year and a half ago, we were the 10th town to join the 10 Towns Initiative in all of New Hampshire to rethink plastic. There's now 49 towns who have joined, so the group is growing. And just like the EDC, there's a million different things we could be doing. We have a small committee. We have to pick and choose what we want to do. One of the things we are really focused on is helping people rethink plastic. One of the things we're doing, I have to put a plug in for Hannaford's. The day before Earth Day, we're going to be there passing out reusable shopping bags to people and why they should do that. And Hannaford's funding that, so we're working with them, so that's really cool. And we're still looking at other ways of doing that. But earlier this year, we went out and polled a lot of the restaurants. It's hard to get a hold of the manager, so sometimes we could, sometimes we couldn't. But the people we could talk to, we asked about, are you interested in getting rid of plastic? Are there things that you'd like to do? And across the board, they said yes, absolutely. So the next project that we thought, it's called Skip the Stuff, is the name of it. We didn't make it up, but it's again a statewide thing. And what happens is, so this is a poster that would be yellow, it would be larger, the restaurant logo would go there, we would do advertising in the buzz, we let people know the restaurants that are doing this. So instead of automatically putting in the ketchup, plastic silverware, all that stuff, people would have to ask for it. And for restaurants, that's a money saver because they're not wasting all that money on plastic. So what we'll do is we'll go back to the restaurants, the ones we already spoke to and other ones, and ask if they'd like to do this. If they do this, they'll go in the front window and people will have to ask for it. And the only change will be, or the only perhaps hardship is restaurants that do a lot of takeout, we'll just have to train your staff not to put all that stuff in. And then after we do this, we want, and there are grants available to help them get, stop using styrofoam. There are grants, because that's kind of a next step.
Yeah.
So we hope to start this in May, if you all say it's okay to do it.
See, it's great. Yeah, the restaurants can participate or not.
It'll totally be voluntary.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Carol, you have a? No, okay.
Yes, you're right, I do, but no, I'm good.
Okay.
What?
No, that's good, that's
Okay.
good.
We would also like to bring the sustainability committee in, like all of the other committees at some point, but we figure we would finish with the EDC first.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah, let us know,
that's-
we would
yeah.
love to come and talk
Yeah,
about
perfect.
if you all have ideas and things that we would like to do too.
Well, let me go there, let me ask. So, I get it, this is what everybody's doing, what's the goal? What is the goal of this?
Is to stop using as much plastic as we are, because
Got
it's not
that.
sustainable for us to continue to use as much
Okay.
plastic as we are.
Okay. Okay, I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I think I understand what Harper and you might have is, as a town, is it our responsibility to tell businesses what to do? Is that the gist of it?
Yeah, just to reduce the volume in landfills,
Yeah,
and basically, and for us to say we're supporting this, what are we supporting, I guess? Okay, we wanna stop using plastic, I get that, but why? Why are we going there? Just so,
Because-
if someone asks me, I can answer the question.
Yeah.
right. For example, one of the things in terms of groceries is the plastic bags eventually are ending up in the ocean. And I'm sure you've all seen, according to some statistics, we all are eating equivalent of a credit card of plastic a week. As it gets ground up, recycled, there's a whole issue about a lot of plastic's not recycled.
Right.
It's ground up and put back into the water or whatever. It's killing animals, it's not sustainable for us to.
So
continue
I
this.
wanna be, I appreciate that, I wanna be careful about that, because I think our trash should not be ending up in the ocean from this town in any way whatsoever, right? It's not going there. Trash, as a general rule, a lot of it is ending up there. So I wanna make sure I'm clear what we think is happening and what we're helping. I get it, reducing waste, keeping the landfill, our trash is going to the landfill, keeping that down, that's all great stuff, I'm good with that. So, okay, probably enough said.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I think it's great.
And I'm in favor, so don't get me wrong.
And the other thing about this program, it's not telling anyone what to do, it's totally voluntary.
Right.
It's, restaurants can say, no, I want to continue to do this, I mean, it's totally voluntary, so.
All right.
It benefits them either way, so.
Right. Right. Great. All right. Have at it. Thank you. You don't need a vote. We don't need a vote on that. You're consensus. You good.
And our committee would be happy to come back and talk
Yeah.
further about it.
Yeah, great.
Because Carol, the other thing is, some states, now that you're in the legislature, some states are passing legislation to stop this, and that's not gonna happen in New Hampshire.
Probably not.
Not in our lifetime.
That's probably accurate.
So we're letting people voluntarily.
There's a number of libertarians in the House.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Because some towns have tried, and this was last year or the year before, I think it was 10 towns tried to ban plastics in their town. Like you cannot have a plastic bag. If you go to New Jersey, if you go to a lot of other states, Maine just across the border,
Yeah.
you cannot get a plastic bag.
You have to bring your own bags to go.
You have to bring
grocery
your own
shopping.
bags, yeah. And they tried, these 10 towns tried
Go
to
back to
pass.
paper.
Yeah.
No, they don't. You have to bring your own bags, Maine and New York, to go when you go grocery shopping.
But they tried to, these towns tried to ban it as a town, and the legislature said, no, you can't do
They
that.
don't have any thought.
And I think, but that's why it's really important for us to say, what are we saying?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? What are we saying?
Yep.
So it's really important for all of us to be on the same page and say, we're doing this because we think it's really good to reduce, I mean, there's a bill in, about the landfill and land off in the Dalton Pond, right? There's a bill in there. We're running out of landfill space, so let's do something to reduce that. And I think that's great. I think it's good. So thank you, Don.
All right, we were good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another initiative taken without, that's good, without us having to do it.
Sustainability, town administrator report.
It's in your packets, if you wanna look along, it's 07TA1, and all the documents that go with it are underneath. I'll start, actually Ben's here as well, the public safety building, the committee met today. We wanted to give you an update on where things are at. Also in your packet under number TA2, Grafton County ARPA funds, you received the information from Grafton County. They've opened up the timeframe. Ben's looking into what we can apply for potentially.
Okay.
It's up to $50,000
Yeah.
that we can apply for, but we're trying to figure out what options there are. For instance, can we apply for one project that we're already agreed to fund out of the general fund? It's $107,000, and will we be able to use their 50 to offset that? Or do we have to pick specific,
Was that
the rating for,
radiant,
yeah.
I forget who, if we talk about this, I forget who I spoke to, whether it was Homer, Ahern, that he had quite a bit of interest in, when I talked to him about this originally, about saying, well, we're kind of a hub town, there's a lot, we do a lot, and he said, back it up. John Sellers went to the executive
John Sellers
commission
went,
meeting,
yeah.
and he said that did garner a little bit of interest about that we're a hub, so maybe we could use that conversation to pull in. It's only $50,000 per town, is what, and there's, not every town can get it, but it might be worth building that conversation.
Yeah, and my hope is maybe there's a little bit more, right? Because you'll administer, as Grafton County, they'll administer this, and not only can mathematically not every town get it, but just reasonably not everybody's got a town that's gonna put in for it, so maybe there's funding left over, maybe there's another opportunity to say, but we still have this goal to meet. Really, the only question is, when they sent out the grant guidance, it's very cut and paste from the Treasury guidance on ARPA funds, which is fine. We've already had direct communication with them, so we know the project's eligible. They chose to do it as a reimbursement style grant, and so it's getting clarification on, when we submit the, what will in likelihood be a $250,000 invoice from that month. Is it reasonable to expect that you're gonna look at that and say, okay, there's the 50 for, it sounds silly, but I'd rather say that before we, go forward and they say, well, it's supposed to be a one-shot deal because, as Christina and I talked about, there's other things that we can fund with that 50 and then, still meet the goal of offsetting what we're taking out of fund balance by using our ARPA funds for that portion of it. So that'll be good.
Right.
And the application is due by May 5th, so we are planning on submitting something. What it will be, we're not quite sure yet, but we'll figure that out before May 5th.
Use a grant writer.
Change orders have been signed and submitted for the parking area and the radiant flooring. Those are also, if you wanted to take a look at those are also under TA2. Demolition is planned to begin on Monday, April 10th. Cade will be doing some videotaping if he can. of the demolition, and it is anticipated there will be a lot of trucking going on,
Yep.
containers for disposal, et cetera.
Have you been using that building for training? Yep. Good.
Unfortunately, over like the last week, so it's like super crammed in, but it's been good. It's been good. We've got new employees, and then everybody gets a chance to do a little bit of something.
Yeah.
Deputy Heath gets to feed himself up for a week and out of the thing. So there's the call companies up there tonight working on a bunch of different stuff. So
Good.
It is planned to have a time-lapse video of the whole project, where we'll supply the camera and the recordings. They'll set up
That's
an off pole there, so
That's
I thought that was really good.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Pending the status of the alteration of terrain permit, we have received responses on the alteration of terrain. There was additional information that had to be provided. Mike Vignelli's already provided that, and then we're hoping to be able to start footings on May 15th. The groundbreaking ceremony is being discussed, and wanted to put feelers out for the board. The committee pretty much discussed today, do we want the old building and the groundbreaking, or do we want it down and then do a groundbreaking?
We want
And
it
the general
down.
consensus was down.
Yeah.
And do it down. So we're looking at early May, currently. And then there's still some minor decisions to make on items that were previously removed. The committee did approve the bump out being returned to the project with ARPA funds. So
okay.
the bump up will be going back in currently. Yeah, you have things you want to add? That's why I.
no, I think that covers it. Just to highlight, with no other rep there until the next meeting when Rob will join us, but it got brought up to me, when Chief Bean and I sat down and looked at, kind of the balance between the parking and the remaining ARPA funds, which you guys allowed us to utilize. We could accomplish a whole lot with that 47,000, and a whole lot that's super important, don't get me wrong. But it came up at 2 weeks ago, and some of the committee members said, well, are we, let's make sure that we really don't need it beforehand. So we sat down and drew it out a number of different times, and like I said, it would work without the bump out, but whoever's sitting in my position in 15 years will curse my name if we don't put the bump out in. I truly believe that between where we'll be at ambulance-wise and, any sort of potential to look at different pieces of apparatus, right? We can get bigger apparatus, smaller apparatus, but if you start looking into specialty pieces or whatever might come down the road, it's not gonna work. So it definitely makes sense. We'll still be able to fit some other small projects in, and it leaves another 50 or so grand that, will be nice to find down the road, but they're in logical categories that I think will be easier to fund or grant fund for, fundraise or grant fund for.
Refresh my memory, with the ARPA, with the ARPA funds that we had, were we able to do the back access?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was
Yeah, we-
201,000 of it, and there's roughly 260,000 left in ARPA, so before that, so it left about $60,000, of which we'll spend just shy of 47 on the bump out, and still be able to do some security stuff, and we figured out some others.
Maybe one or two signs?
Fantastic. Yeah, that'd be nice.
We used a little bit more than 260, but some of that was obligated to
Yeah.
another project. So.
That's fantastic.
Good.
So when you back access, you're talking about the parking lot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that was, it was.
Those
on
are the
list.
change orders that are, so the
And
change
which-
order
which
for the
bump out is
upper
it
parking
first?
lot and the rating gate,
Generally,
those are in here.
In the apparatus bay?
What's
Yeah.
The bump out you're referring to is?
Yeah, so if you've seen the picture,
Yeah.
remember it from town meeting, and it won't be covered in brick because it's super expensive and that doesn't make any sense. But on the bigger portion of the apparatus bay, the middle two bays, I think it's like 6 foot 8 inches, so it's roughly 8 feet total of a
Forward.
bump out forward. Yeah.
Okay,
And so it'll allow, for the most part, probably for the next decade or even 2 decades, the trucks will be all lined up in there nice and neat. It'll be kind of open space in front of the trucks. But again, 15, 20 years from now, it'll be eaten up, I'm sure.
And it breaks up the facade, right? in the front.
It does do that, yeah. I mean, Farmington's looks sharp. They have kind of like a little false eve, drip edge thing, but it certainly breaks it up nicely.
If you look at the pictures of the old fire station when it was new, and then take a walk in there today, it's a real different story, so. It's certainly.
So the Public Safety Building Committee is meeting at the fire department April 20th at 9:30 a.m. We also are going to add it to the agenda because it's anticipated that we'll be coming back to the board to talk about a clerk of the works kind of idea and the cost that it's going to be. There's a contract, there's a proposal been submitted, and the cost is a little bit more than we anticipated.
Isn't that what we hired Rowan for?
Well, we need someone to sign off that what they built was accurate. So like a land use officer that knows that they did what they were supposed to do. So, and so we have some interest, and I'm checking with Kathleen on whether the interest can be used immediately or not, and we'll be back to talk to the board. So.
Okay.
Historic Town Hall, we did get the quotes on updating cellular and this building as well. Cellular and wireless communicators, we're waiting for one more thing, and we should be beginning those projects to transfer the alarm systems off of copper for both these buildings. And currently the Historic Town Hall will set off an alarm, but it will not trigger anybody to come to it unless they hear it. So we're trying to get it done as quickly as possible, but. Transfer station shed, the smaller shed from the former PD building was relocated to the transfer station. They've done some, so we checked that box off. They've done an update to the roof. They have roofing, they've cut a window out, they've installed an air conditioning unit, and they are looking to get a door put on it, a better door. So the smaller shed, yeah.
What is that for?
So it's for the lower.
Oh.
The lower transfer station, yeah. You may see that we installed the shed outside this building. We actually took the other shed from the former PD building. It is in a temporary location right now until the blue box is gone. We will paint it white to blend in a little better than the color that's there.
I thought that was going in a dumpster with the rest of the building.
I think they thought it was, and then when they looked at it, they felt that there was a recommendation from Victor and Mark
To save
that the
it.
decorating committee use it.
Okay.
So it will free up space upstairs. If you haven't been upstairs, it's a disaster right now, but it'll free up space upstairs, and they won't have to carry their stuff up the stairs or when they can't get to the elevator, and they'll be able to get their storage
Whatever they want.
any weekends.
Nice, good idea.
And it gives us a little more space, and they're very happy with it, by the way. Vehicle updates. There's a bunch of stuff in your packets under 07TA3. Those are the checks. Highway fire, we've received payments in the following amounts. The 2008 sweeper, we got $732 for. The minor damage on the back of it, but the repairs started, and we should have that fixed shortly.
Yeah.
Actually, he's using it, so it's fixed. 2011 spreader that was in the back of the truck, they paid $3,084 for it. Not sure yet what the plan is on that. The 1993 bucket truck, 2 checks have been received. The vehicle was totaled by insurance. We received $12,748.48 and $8,573.52, which totals about 21,000, almost 22. So not sure what the plan, that one isn't needed right away, but I'm not sure where Mark's plans are gonna be with it, but we did get those funds. The 2020 F350, we received $73,802. Again, in your packets, you'll also see a purchase order under TA3. Normally, purchase orders are done during a meeting. I called Sean because we are having an extremely tough time finding a vehicle.
And
holding a vehicle. So this is, there's pictures in your packets. You'll see the proposed new truck is also in them under TA3. It is a 2020, so lost a 2024 F-350. This is a 2021 Dodge Ram 3500, has a dump body and the subframe of the plow. What? Those are checks. You want to go to the
You
pictures?
said TA3.
Yep.
That's TA3.
They're all in there.
Oh, there's
So,
another 3.
There's several
see,
threes.
Scroll down some more. They're not
I
showing them all.
can't, yeah, that's it, this is all I got, I can't scroll down anymore.
Where are all these?
TA1, I don't know, that was.
Okay, here, I can
That's
share
fine,
them on
I'll
the
just-
screen.
is that pictures?
I will have a second.
I don't know why Carol's didn't load all the way.
Here it is. Oh, yeah, maybe not very.
You got it, over here, oh.
So that's the back of it, so,
It's rusty.
Yeah, what the heck?
They're rusty as soon as they come off.
2021.
So,
That's the back, that's the side. Oh, and I can, and then
Sure.
that's the front. It didn't come with a plow, so, but it does have the subframe attachment for the plow.
so that subframe won't work on the plows they have. They're not planning on reusing that plow, are they?
The plow, they were allowed to keep the plow from the fire, but they're not going to use it on this truck. It's gonna need a little bit of work.
It needs all new electronics. and
Yeah.
hydraulics.
The truck that burned,
Yeah.
was that gas or diesel?
Yes. Yeah,
So why are we looking at a diesel truck?
because it was available.
Probably all you can find.
We really, Mark has been trying to, so we have a truck on order that we're supposed to replace this year. We're not getting it until possibly next year by the looks.
Yeah.
We had to place the order in, when did we place that? January, and that's true, that was one of the trucks that had to be replaced this year. This vehicle was destroyed in the fire, and Mark, as quick as Mark is finding the vehicle, it's,
They're not,
It's
the
being
dealerships
sold.
aren't holding it more than.
No, I
Yeah.
understand, but the maintenance costs on the
Yeah.
diesel, replacing a gas vehicle with a diesel vehicle are twofold with all the new emission standards and everything, so it just doesn't make sense to me to open up that can of worms if we don't need to, from a cost perspective, and not to mention you're spending more money on it as it is. And it's, I feel like we gotta get it because they're in short supply, but here we go with another color, we're gonna have a Harlem fire department, with a highway department before we know it. So is it something that
Good
he
point.
has to have right now, or can we order one and wait 6 months for a cab chassis?
We already own it.
we own this.
We own this,
yes.
Yes, we already own this.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying, normally it would come to you as a purchase order, but we did go to the chair outside of the meeting, explain the situation and got permission to sign the purchase order. It'll be delivered this week.
Okay.
Sorry,
Alright.
sorry.
Can we paint it at least? At least we're
We can
making
wrap it.
Well,
Yeah,
With the new town seal.
Yeah.
no, but you make a really good point about the professional look of your fleet.
But my OCD
I
goes.
mean, I don't like
Off the charts
I don't
by
like
going there.
the
We're red, white, and
I don't
blue
like
now.
the fire truck is the pickup truck. We talked about this because
The
it
gray.
was what you could get. But there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah.
Everything should look the same. It should have the same stickers. It should have the same paint job. And then because people,
It's a
Well,
running
see that
joke
stuff.
throughout the fire service in the state of New Hampshire that all these trucks similar to that are being delivered in all different colors all over the states.
I know it's where I understand.
Yeah.
It's
well,
where we're
part
at.
of
What
it
do you
was
think?
it cost more money so that's why I think we ended up with the white truck when we did with the highway, because it would have cost, I can't remember how much more to get it painted green.
Like $6,000 or something
Yeah,
like
something
that.
like
If we're gonna change the white, I'm all for changing the white, but like,
I know, we red, white, and blue now
and then now,
And
wow.
gray.
That'll look good in the parade.
Well, it's something we should keep in mind as time comes on.
When availability
Things
becomes
become
a little bit
better.
better.
though. Yeah,
There's a company in Franklin that does wrap.
Yeah.
I don't know what the cost
It
is.
is really worth,
That's what, right.
It's pretty, it's more expensive than you think.
it's expensive and this is a highway department truck.
Yeah.
Right.
What do highway department guys do? I mean, they're
Yeah.
working, they're leaning tools against it and stuff, and that stuff tears like that.
Well, we
Feels
could
like
put
the front of my
messaging
car.
or advertising on it.
Well, it's,
We could sell ads. We
Revenues
could
if you
sell
do it.
ads on the
Yeah.
town trucks. That's a great idea. We could put ads on the fire.
So-
Sustainability.
Again, normally you would come to the board for a purchase order, but this one we do own, so.
It's all good. Well done, thank you.
Mark has also cleaned up, if you've ever been over to the transfer station, the remains of the old salt.
Yeah.
Or-
And the, just the last point on vehicles, the F-550, the emissions have been repaired and the vehicle is back up and running, so. Employee updates, I did think it would be, I saw this a few weeks ago and we've met since, under, it's, TA4. I thought it would be good when I start when I see things, kudos, we'll have a kudos.
Yeah, I just clicked on that, wondering why my name was
I
there.
know she tagged you, but,
Yeah,
this one, so I will have another kudos with the water sewer department, the 20th, and Jeff will be coming in, so.
Nice.
But this one is, thank you to the wonderful people at the town hall, town clerk's office in the town of Bristol. Yesterday, they helped this person set up, well, this was not yesterday, but it was right around voting. They helped, this person set up an absentee ballot for their mom so that she could stay safe through her chemo but still vote. She said, they appreciate the town and all they did for them and love the community, so. I thought that would be a nice thing to share.
Very nice.
Other updates, Penny Path project, the MOU has been received, I've reviewed it, nothing jumps out that affects me signing it. I've
okay.
shared it, it's also under number 5, TA number 5. I've shared it with the Penny Path subcommittee, I haven't heard anything back from them, so the only drawback is it expires December 31st, but now that we've already gotten the changes into it, I think it'll be an easy
Yeah.
renewal. So I will go ahead and sign unless somebody saw something.
Yeah, no, we previously authorized her to sign when it came back.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, so that's kind of an unofficial assignment I've taken on to work with Christina on the environmental piece of that, so
Okay.
I guess you can kind of leave me in that little, the Penny Pathway as a select board representative for that.
Yes, I spent 2 days, by the way, on that congressional directed spending application. So.
Yeah, see, and that's one of the issues is, yes, it's great that those things become available, but they end up being a time sink
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, okay.
Next one is one of the items I was asked to research, conflict of interest code of ethics for the select board. That is in, there's a bunch of items in your folders under the TA6. What I came across was interesting because I think in the past we thought that it had been denied by the chair at that time to do, but what they found is a code of ethics policy for the way the code of ethics, the existing code of ethics policy was kind of against the rules. You weren't allowed to enforce it on your elected positions and officers. So that's why it was amended to be only an employee policy at the time.
Okay.
The way that you have to do it, and there's sets of minutes there too from the meetings, but you would have to do a code of ethics ordinance. There's a sample one in here that had been discussed at the meeting. You'd have to adopt it on the warrant article as an ordinance by the legislative body. Yeah, and it will. So per RSA 3139, it allows you to regulate the conflict of interest or code of ethics for elected officials and appointed officials, not just by doing it this way. So there was a sample created, but that's what they voted not to go forward with at the time.
Well, at the time, I don't think they were aware of that law. They just didn't believe in a code of ethics. That there seemed to be some sort of pushback on having to sign it, that it wasn't necessary. But I think then they
Yeah.
found out that, well, we couldn't have anyway.
Right, you could have anyway without, so if this is something that you want to pursue, we can certainly pursue it for the warrant articles in the fall, but the sample is, and we can take our time to do it. It's just a one-page document, conflicts of interest ordinance, and it's included in your folders. So, we can take our time and look at it. If we want to, we can bring it up again later this year and decide if that's what you want to move forward with.
Could you please separate that and email it
Yeah.
to the board?
And do you just want the sample conflict?
Just the sample, yeah,
Okay.
so they can digest it.
Mhm. Okay.
Health officer, I thought it would be interesting, I stayed on as the deputy, you've already approved those appointments, so partly because of training, also the new laws require that you have to take a course and get certified and pass a test.
Okay.
So we have the year to get Mike to do that, and we're gonna move forward with it. Apparently, I also have to get a background check, even though I've been in a health officer position for I don't know how many years. So I'll get that done next. One of the other interesting things is if there's ever a vacancy for more than 15 days, the commissioner will appoint the chair to be your health officer.
Right.
They won't let it go longer than 15
Yeah.
days. So I wanted to make sure I shared that with the board.
Do the back.
I won't let it go longer than 15 days.
You don't want to do it? The next
I don't think you want me to do it.
Yes, I do. You could take care of one property for me. Notice of abutters hearings. So these have kind of dropped over the years, I think, and I just wanted to take a poll from the select board how they'd like to. So there's two things in this I wanted to talk about. One is whenever the town of Bristol owns a property, you get notified from planning, zoning, whatever district with an abutters notice. We stopped doing certified. You used to have to do certify yourself, but we do a proof of service now, and we serve the TA. But is there any interest in the board knowing that there's a project going in next to a town property?
Yeah,
Okay, so I would say.
I would, yeah.
I can email those out. This particular one, unfortunately, was a hearing held Tuesday, and they were denied. So, they were denied their variance, but it was a hearing on Tuesday for, request for permission to have two primary structures on a lot, which is currently not allowed. They were ordered to connect the two buildings, or they couldn't use them as two, or apply for a variance. The variance was denied, so now they have to go back to figure out how to connect them.
That's, I mean,
Where was that?
They were ordered to connect them back from day one when it turned into a garage. It was a garage. The previous owner turned the garage into a unit with the and the fire department trained, I think, in the other building at one point.
Where
They
is
were
this?
on North Main Street, 76 North Main Street. And they were about right next to the school. They were supposed.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
So they were gonna.
Yeah, the guy was living in what used to be the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they were allowed to keep the garage.
Did he
unit.
sell that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they were going to tear down the house and move it closer to the garage to connect the two, and then he sold it. We contacted pretty quickly these people and let them know they can't, you have some steps you have to do.
They've been renovating the house.
The contractor, we've been meeting with the contractor, we've been going, and the contractor proposed an attached covered deck. Owners never knew that the contractor proposed this and they don't want to do it. So, they didn't know that the owners had to apply for the variance.
And got denied.
And they got denied.
Yeah.
So now they have to come up with a resolution, or they could appeal the variance.
Yeah.
so I know that this is already a done deal. So there's two buildings that are using for residences, and we're telling them they can't do that.
There weren't originally two buildings for residences. Right.
No, but go ahead.
They've been ordered since day one to remedy the situation, and they've chosen from the former owner and the current owner through their contractor not to fix that and continue to renovate it.
But if they take some wood and hook them together, it's okay?
It's
But it has to be a permanent fixture.
Well, no, but if they connect them together, it doesn't
Yeah.
change what they're doing. We're telling them you can't do this unless you hook them together, then you can do this.
It's,
Seems silly to me.
it has to be,
Right.
it can't be unattached units.
No.
So granted,
It's a
we
problem-
probably
it's a
could
problem
be a
with
lot
zoning.
more of a stickler and say to them that they have to do way more than just a covered porch, but we try to help them
Right.
through, stretch just a little, but we can't go against the zoning ordinance.
Am I hearing that wrong, though?
Yeah, it's a
You can't do
requirement.
this,
It's in the
but
zone.
if you build them together, you can do this.
I think it's made to, so it looks more like one structure.
Vagaries of the zoning,
It's a pretty small lot, too.
Yeah,
It
it
is.
is. So,
It just sounds a little bureaucratic, but it's.
Trying to think,
it's
can you even
all-
see it from the road?
oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It's the.
Yeah.
It's right across from tennis.
Right up-
Yeah, oh,
right up
okay, I'm
this
just trying to
corner,
picture it exactly. I
So
know
there,
they're
there
renovating.
used to be the house and a garage, and then the previous owner bought it and did nothing with the house and turned the garage into a living space.
Aside from the garage.
Basic, but it's only a one-car garage,
Yeah.
2 stories high, and he put a deck on the front and everything.
hey Kate, can you,
So,
it's doing this again?
It's good, it just
Yeah.
doesn't make any, it seems goofy to me,
It's
that's all.
on that
Yeah.
button.
well, we have no, the select board has no say on what happens.
It's all
on
done, it's.
Zoning.
Right, it's
Well,
done, yeah.
it's a zoning ordinance rule, so
Right.
unfortunately, without changing the zoning ordinance, they have to be enforced.
I'll draft that.
Yeah.
And it seems fair to say just a deck between the two, not
Yeah,
covered, that
covered.
shouldn't be a big
Yeah.
deal. And you still have 2 residents.
It's the problem with zoning, just the weird stuff that happens that I
Yeah.
don't like.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Also, one other thing that you can get are copies of wetlands permit applications, and those haven't been coming here. But this is one of the violation properties on
Yep.
Heavy Shores, and they are following through with their application.
Okay.
So. Hebron Fire Department celebrates their 75th anniversary on June 10th. They're holding the parade around the lake with emergency vehicles. Ben has advised me they will most likely be participating. I didn't get any concerns from anyone. I just wanted to double check with the select board if there were any concerns from you. But we'll post their notice on the town's website, Facebook, and Bristol Bus, as they've asked us to do that if you don't have concerns.
Do we want to do anything else to recommend that? Put a truck out or?
That's what Ben's going to do.
Are they staffing, policemen at the intersections or anything, or are they paying for that, the detail?
We have not received any input that we'll be doing that at this point, but we can certainly check if Chris would have any requirement for that.
Okay.
Noise ordinance. I did a little research on this one as well. There's a concern that was raised in your packets under 07 TA8, and it says Bristol noise ordinance. Here. I know, I don't know why all yours didn't copy, I'm sorry. I can leave that up so you can take a look at it. Whoops, not that one. This is it. So I've gone back and forth with this person a few times, but in the research, I have found out that there was a ordinance adopted in May 22nd, 2008. That's in your packets as well, and it's under disorderly actions ordinance. In June 4th of 2020, there was one that was recorded by the town clerk. It's also disorderly actions, but a bunch of stuff is taken out of it. It's not a signed copy, and I can't find in minutes around that time frame that it was voted on. But it appears to be the official record in the town clerk's office. Before we go on with anything further about what we would like to do with this, I'm hoping the board will say that the June 4th, 2020 is the current one. Because there are some things in the 2008 that are gonna be a little hard to enforce for the,
It seems like the intention was to adopt that.
Didn't we do
Yeah.
this? Didn't we do this?
Well, no, I'll get to that, you
Okay.
you
Thank
did talk about it, but, so, my thoughts are, the intention was the 2020 document was the one that you wanted to adopt at the time.
Yeah.
So the person who has raised the concern has asked for copies, and I've told them I can't provide that until I know which one's accurate. That's why I wanted to confirm the board as a group first, so. I can show you my response too.
I'm looking at it, I'm reading the
Oh,
complaint.
well, Carol can't see, it, sorry.
Yeah.
What's that applied under?
Oh, 8, TA8RE, Bristol.
The complaint is at the bottom, and then the first response is at the top. And then there's been a subsequent email, but it's not in your packets yet. So.
Okay.
So pending all that, in 2022, you did meet in May and talk about, there's minutes in there as well. You did meet in May and talk about a new ordinance, which was never adopted. It said, and discuss some changes that say the edits made to the policies were made based on what was discussed at the previous board meeting. I don't know what those were. The board discussed specific prohibitions on the hours beginning at 10 p.m. except on holidays or special events when the hours would begin at 11 p.m. and end at 7.
That sounds right, yeah.
So I wanted to confirm if you want me to move forward with this the sample or the draft ordinance that was in your packets. I can, is also under their 2022 draft ordinance. And if there's anything specific I should be moving forward and researching, if you remember, or just bring it back to you and have a discussion at this point.
Bring it back and have a discussion. I'm just finishing reading the.
Yeah.
So is this an ongoing issue, or is this a one-time thing that they're just requesting
It looks like an
information?
ongoing.
It's an ongoing.
So is it, I couldn't read the whole thing, that they're dumping before 6 a.m.?
I've talked to Lieutenant, Chief Bean, and you can read some more. I've talked to Chief Bean, and, they haven't been able to confirm some of this, they have not been able to confirm. We have had concerns raised in the past and with the former town administrator so I think the intent had been to try and get a noise ordinance before the board, for discussion purposes, so.
I know they do the dumpster at the elementary school also too, around that time frame. On my way to work, I've seen the truck here and there, so, only know.
There is some question as to whether you can regulate, because it is
Right.
it's a registered motor vehicle. It wasn't my job, but we had an operator get ticketed by a local law enforcement officer for delivering logs to a log yard too early. And when it went to court, the town pulled out because their lawyer advised them that it's a motor vehicle, it's registered for the road, and you can't do anything about it.
Right.
So I don't know if that applies the same with, doing a dumpster at 4 o'clock in the morning.
That was some of the things that Chris Bean had mentioned as well. He didn't
Yeah.
think that was something that could be regulated. And we can do a little research on that, bring the draft ordinance back to you and see what we can find.
Yeah. I'd be hesitant to adopt anything that is unenforceable.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, and that's what we were concerned about with the 2008 one. That's a little bit harder to
Yeah.
enforce. So the 2020 is what we use for now until we're able to
Yeah.
move forward with something.
And there may be there may or may not be any town relief, it may be a civil matter
Right,
in this specific case.
okay.
So do we want to address the very end of their email? Where it says our request is not and is not unreasonable, but we've been ignored year after year. I don't like having things like that kind of hanging out on the record
Well, we have a record of,
response.
Well, yeah, Christina's response kind of addressed
Okay.
how that fell down, I thought.
Well, there are, in the past, there have been responses. There have been responses from the PD, there have been responses from the former town administrator.
maybe not a desired
Right.
outcome.
Just for the record, it doesn't look like they've been ignored, is my point. So
Right.
I'll just say that for the record.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think they may feel like that as far as the ordinance goes, but I would say,
Well, and that's
No.
why I told him I would bring it here,
Yep.
and we would determine where to go with this.
Okay.
Okay,
and I think we should finish this because we had a conversation about the Airbnb conversation going around the state about a lot of houses being rented out in Airbnb as vacation spots in the middle of residential areas. Conway is the one that comes up, and people are making a lot of noise having parties in a street that used to be a quiet residential area, but now it's being rented out as vacation time. So having a noise.
But also, a party
having
isn't, it isn't illegal to have a party either.
It's not.
As long as,
well,
yeah.
and
That's,
I mean,
we
that's
talked
what
about
your,
that, so we should finish it.
your housing shortages are coming in because people can make more money off of an Airbnb than they can by renting to someone, so,
You hear that.
part of it.
You
not
hear
all.
that conversation a
Yep.
lot on every listing on Facebook for an
Yeah.
apartment. Yeah, or house. Yeah.
I think Guilford just joined the ranks also for regulating
Yeah.
Airbnbs.
So we did as well, and we had one that came into the zoning board on Tuesday night. They were granted, but they were out by Dunkin' Donuts, so that's a little different. But we defined what a short-term rental was.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Okay, evaluations and procedures a lot of the documents are under your TA9. You previously adopted a procedure for the employee evaluation, annual increases in salary maintenance, scale maintenance back in December.
Yep.
In working with it for the first year, there's some things that, there obviously, it says a payroll, effective April 1st. We split payroll, and it makes, it also contradicts with the personnel policy we found out today in our meeting. So I decided I should fix it quickly because we are in evaluation, COLA step increases now. And so, what I've done is decided to combine the two documents into one, updated the appendixes, fixed some ordering and formatting in the document, made the effective date not an actual date, but the first full payroll of the month, depending on when they're adopted, and I fixed the wording on the maintenance scale, of the scale, and updated wage scale as it's referred to. So that's all, the edited version's in there, but I also have added a clean version. The document that I'm gonna ask you if you can sign, I just have to fix the appendix if you're okay with that, because for some reason, 2 pages are the same.
Yeah.
Which we were able to put the appendix in as a PDF for the wage scale, so it will be in there.
Okay.
And when we update the wage scale, you'd only have to update the appendix every time. So if you're okay with those changes, I do have the document here for you to sign.
Do you need a motion on that?
Yes, please.
Quick question, so as far as updating the wage scales, that's like a work session or is that?
No. Well, sort of. Updating the wage, so first step of updating the wage scales, sorry.
No, go ahead.
First step of updating the wage scale is the board has to decide what they're going to support during budget season. Are they gonna support a 1%, what, in this, like they did this past year, was a 1% COLA increase? That automatically applies to the
No.
wage scale.
Yeah, I'm talking about I'm just, yeah, go ahead, okay. So I was gonna bring this up when Chief Green was here, but so one of the things I was looking at on this is, for instance, if you take a grade 13, a patrol officer, top steps, 30, 41 an hour. So it makes sense to me that if that said officer gets promoted to sergeant, then he goes to step 1 of the sergeant scale, which is $1.30 or $2 pay cut.
Right.
So I just,
Right.
can we make some sense of that maybe?
We talked about this last year.
Yeah.
And we talked about, because the way the state works is when you go to that next pay grade, you have to go to the next highest step that's above the one you were at,
Right,
which is fair. That's completely, it should be the way it is, at least that step.
right, normally, and
Like,
that's
you would think
if you get promoted, right?
Right.
like 13 to 19, like a patrol officer to lieutenant would make sense, but not.
So,
Right.
when that happens, when they get promoted, we make the final decision on where that sits, and although, yes, you're right, it would, if you went to step 1, but we end up doing de facto what Carol's talking about by putting them on a step that he falls in.
Yeah, and that's what one of the other areas of confusion that I have is PD talks about, well, we're gonna bring it this step, we're gonna bring it that step, this many years, that many years.
Yeah, it is confusing.
The fire department doesn't work that way. Does the highway department work that way? Does water and sewer work that way?
In theory, everyone should be working that way, which is one of the reasons why, we're here tonight to talk
Am I getting ahead of things?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, no, the wage scale was created so you had a general idea of where you were bringing, normally a person who's coming in with no experience to a position is gonna start on step 1.
Right.
But the way the wage scale is, it allows the department head to come to the board and say, what happened with the PD should to happen, but to come to the board and say, this person has 10 years of experience and really should start not in step 1, but should start more on step 5 or 4 or 5. And they come in with their argument and the board can determine whether to support that or not.
I'm just basing it off of having worked full-time as a firefighter that, I left one department and, in step 3 or 4, and I went to that next department and I got an orange shield on the front of my helmet in step 1, it was you started at the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's, it's a different world we're in now, so.
And there is a caveat in there that the finance officer is supposed to look at these and provide recommendation to the board. I don't think that's been happening, but we'll make sure that where the CPI is at. And so I think that came from the TA this year because we did, through this past year, we said we were 8%, but we couldn't do an 8%
Right.
at that time.
So one of the things that you'll find is, for whatever reason, even small mistakes get made, right? So even when we approve things happening a particular way, and when it gets entered into the system, all of a sudden that person's on a half a step, or they're half a step behind. So it's frustrating, but it also gives us the framework. We're constantly making adjustments as we need to this. Whether those numbers should all be different numbers, that's a whole other discussion. Right.
And that policy that you're looking at, it says that we have to review it every 5 years. Maybe we want to talk about shortening that.
Yeah, and so when Christina talked about 1% cost of living, it was 1% in addition to the step.
Right,
Yeah.
an extra step, which is.
Right.
Yeah, ended up,
Because we haven't done a step in like 3 or 4 years.
Right.
3 or 4 years, I think.
right, and that's the other thing, we have these grades and steps, but sometimes the board just says, we're gonna do 3% because that's the cost of living.
Right, but you'd be raising all of these figures by 3%.
Correct.
Right.
So-
Right, but these are merit-based increase, the step raises are merit-based.
Based on your evaluation of where you score, yes.
Right,
Yeah.
But
We get away from the word merit-based, but they're based
That's
on
what it
your
is,
evaluation.
college kids,
Yeah.
right?
right.
yeah.
The nice thing that we can do here that couldn't be done at the state was that we have the ability to tweak this
Right.
with discussions with the chiefs.
Yeah.
And we can we can move a step, if we wanna put somebody up a step or two higher, because we think it makes sense, we can do that. And that's good, right? I've seen it this year, it's good.
And so you, obviously, your fire department will be talking a little later. We've got a proposal at the beach, you will be talking, so it's a fluid document, but it's a guideline, and that's what we try to follow as best as possible, so.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have
and it's-
anything before.
Right, and it exists in a vacuum, and unfortunately, you know, we've gone from, I don't know if it's unfortunate or not, but the truth of the matter is we've gone from a situation where we held the cards to a situation where we gotta fill positions, we have to be a little more flexible.
Right.
And that gives us a framework to work in. Yeah.
So once the board makes a decision, we don't change this after town meeting, but the COLA gets applied directly across the scale.
Right.
And then it's essentially from one step to the other, it's 3%. So the step, this year, the board approved the 1% COLA, that's been applied to the scale. You'll get PAFs at your next meeting for the 1%, and then you'll get PAFs for the step change as well.
Yeah, as they go through their reviews.
So evaluations are done.
Okay.
I've reviewed 3/4 of them and signed off on them. My question was, I wasn't sure if the board reviewed them as well. There's no sign off for the board, but I didn't know if there was if the board ever did that.
I can't recall ever doing
Okay.
that.
I
would say the only thing that we might want to review was, if you had any particular heartburn over approving or not approving any.
Okay.
Okay.
I still have to finish reviewing some of them, but, and then I put the plan for PAFs in your document. The COLA and step increases they're supposed to have to me, but pending any other changes, April 14th. The COLA goes to everyone, but the step follows the procedures outlined. I will wait probably till non-public to ask those questions.
Okay.
Just about they're about specific people, so. I'll move on. Highway Department hour change, do you have any concerns? It's effective April 16th. They'll begin their summer hours Monday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
No.
Okay. Road bans, all road bans are removed with the exception of Hemlock Brook Road and Hemp Hill Road. Central Square ash trees. There are a number of trees in Central Square.
I ran into Colin when he was,
So they did the survey and they were able to determine that all but 2 are the town's trees.
Yeah.
Mark already has them on the radar to take care of, and he is suggesting we just take them all down at the same time.
well, there were, I was gonna ask about, because he was out there surveying on behalf of Bino, right,
They want them down,
good.
so
Are they willing to help with the 2 and do it all?
I can have Mark talk to them. Mark's suggestion had just been to do it.
They need to come down, there's no question about it.
Where would they located?
They're all the ones in front of the old black wrought iron fence there, along in front of Bino's.
So it'll really open Central Square
I
up.
did the Christmas tree out.
Yeah. What's that?
It'll really open Central Square up.
It will, yeah.
So I'll have Mark
Oh,
talk.
we can plan for some plantings or whatever.
Well, and that was the last sentence. I said, there's no plan for replacement, but we could work with the decorating or the garden group about a plan, if
Yep.
you're okay with that, so.
I want final approval of trees.
Final approval, select board.
Mhm.
Palm trees?
Yeah,
All right.
nothing with Wally in the title.
Just want, the affinity project, the affinity lighting project for the downtown lighting. Monday they'll be delivering the lights, and they anticipate starting that project in 2 weeks.
Great.
They'll all be up late, they're not gonna be rounded lights, they'll be squared off. And actually, I was very, surprised, decorating committee felt they were more historical and liked them.
Whoa.
So, they're LED lighting, and so we should have that project hopefully finished shortly.
So what are they doing with the old ones?
I don't know, that's a good question. What are we doing with the old
Does
ones?
it,
What about the public safety building?
I'll ask them, I don't think they have any, I think they're just taking them down,
yeah.
but that's a good
I
question.
didn't know if it was included in their bid to take them.
Disposal.
Because they might be able to sell them or whatever.
I'll look and make sure, but
We can raffle off.
yes, I put my name in.
Yeah.
Which one's that, the actual,
Yeah,
The whole pole?
not the pole, no.
Just the
top.
lightings at the top,
Yeah,
yeah.
just the top.
wow, that's a lot.
Change it to LED. It'll look good on the greenhouse. Catherine just shake her head.
Well, I was gonna say, I have a street light
That's right.
on my garage, so
Yeah.
it'll look better, but,
Yeah,
Could we use them at the pavilion down at Kelly Park?
yeah, maybe.
I'll find out for where they are first. We get our first, fair hearing request, which is a sort of preliminary before court case, on a welfare case. Deb Tibby and Robert Blanchett served as the fair hearing officers. They did a great job, and I'm not just saying that because Deb's online. Pending the results of the hearing, I just wanted to make sure that the board had a heads up that there was a hearing, and I can certainly update you.
So this is an applicant that got denied and,
Well, they didn't actually get a notice of decision. It was a notice, the decision they got was that it was pending
Yeah.
an inspection. There was a grievance over the amount that was going to be allowed, so.
okay.
I can talk a little bit more
That's
about
fine.
if you need
Yeah.
to, but.
Yeah.
I think the rest are might be non-public. Okay, I'm good.
That was a marathon.
I know, it's what happens when you're down for 3 weeks.
So, under select board items, these are just various things that you think of between meetings or people come to you between meetings and anything that you want to discuss and go from there. Carol,
Can't think of anything this time, what the heck?
any update from conservation?
Yes, we could talk about conservation just a little bit. So I saw Mark and I said, can you please take the sand barrel away? So I don't have to keep emptying people's trash.
Yeah.
So that should be taken care of.
Oh, we're not putting it back next year?
No, we'll put it back next year, but.
So the one with the spring?
Yeah.
Was it, did it get used or did people just take sand out of it?
No, it got used.
Okay.
I filled it. I probably took 10 5-gallon buckets over this winter. It wasn't bad. But when I went 2 weeks ago, it was full of someone's emptied their refrigerator. I mean, it was like stood up and full of food. So that's going away. We had a presentation from Roger LaRochelle from
Squam Lakes Conservation Society.
Yeah, about some ideas about we have about preserving some land in town, and that was good. Sean brought up an idea which I think is great about what can we do with that little piece of land. So we own a little piece of land where the spring is. That kind of goes, if you're looking at the spring, it goes off to the left where there's that other cut from DOT. Sean had a great idea, but let's clean it up and make it something that we can display for the town, whether it's Conservation Commission, put some parking spaces there, maybe have some displays for the commission. And we already own it, so it's not like we have to spend money on it. It would just be some land, some brushing and some land, a little bit of land work they could do with the town.
Yeah.
With the backhoe and stuff, so I think that's good. It's a great idea.
Les?
We had a really good turnout for the mud season mixer.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Almost 100, and everybody had a good time, so it
Not
was
just down here.
well done.
Yeah. Good. Rob?
One quick thing, I'm just gonna throw this out there, Carol brought up the spring and I just kind of thought of it. So I was at the spring the other day, and I know a lot has been going on throughout the state, being brought up at the government level about a lot of this hate activity and stuff. So I was at the spring the other day, and on the bulletin board there was a card from the Proud Boys. which is open to, and I can pass, I meant to bring it with me and I kind of forgot about it. But I did take a picture of it.
Nothing should be on this big
Yeah.
board, so.
So I took it and I have it at home. I just wanted to bring it up in case it comes to our attention from
Yeah.
anybody in the public or anything.
Yeah.
That's something that might be, you know, I don't know if it's anything to be alarmed about, but just in case it comes up.
Okay. Occasionally, people put things at the spring, like the end of the world is coming, whatever it was I had last year. The end of the world is coming, it was during COVID,
Oh, yeah.
and somebody put it on a stake and they pounded the stake in like this far from the plastic pipe from the spring.
So I don't know if that's something that, I mean, if you want me to bring that to Chief Bean, just to.
You can, certainly can if you want. I would just
So they're aware of it.
Remind Highway that when they do go over there, for whatever reason, to take a look at that.
Yeah.
Make sure there's nothing on there that shouldn't be.
That also, I think there's also a fine line there with the First Amendment.
don't-
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
with it or not.
Well, yeah, but it's,
Well,
yeah.
The
No,
highway doesn't go there, by
Okay.
the way, they don't maintain anything,
Okay.
we,
We
the
can't.
commission, we just, it's mostly me right now, but I'll send an email out
For-
to everybody and say, let's all try to, Janet goes there.
I've picked up a considerable amount of trash there myself when I
Yeah,
go there.
I think it's a 2-nip stop for some people.
Yeah,
Right. The nip bottles are all.
yeah.
Yeah, you find them all along North Main Street.
Yes, oh my, the vanilla sky.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything
Yeah.
else?
That's all.
All right. Scott, anything?
I can't think of anything at the time.
All right, I don't have anything. I don't think, hold on.
So, oh, well, you brought up you brought up the shed, so that was on my list. Still have a concern from, regarding the light, putting a shade on the light on North Main.
We dimmed it.
Yeah.
I will drive.
Do you know when you did that?
Yeah, I did respond to him.
Okay, because, yeah, 'cause
When was that?
I have a note from the middle of March. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
responded
newer.
to him since then.
okay.
They didn't dim, unfortunately, when I thought they dimmed it, they didn't. So they did dim it later, after that, I did respond to him. He thought, he wasn't sure about the dimming, and I
Yeah.
haven't heard back from him. I'll drive that way on the way home and check it out, because I can have them lower it again.
Yeah,
Why can't we get some kind of a shade for it?
We can,
It's so much
it's a
simpler.
fee, it's a fee to put a shade on it, and we have had other concerns, so the reason we haven't done it yet is we wanted to see if the dimming would work.
Yeah, okay.
One, two, the other people who will start to see the shades, and then we're gonna have to start putting shades out on more than just this one, if that comes up,
Well,
so.
if we have to, we have to. There's no question these things are much brighter and more distracting
Well,
if you live next to one.
They're
There's no doubt
dimming,
about it.
they are dimming them
Yeah.
all now. There's a program that's tariff dimming, it's gonna save us some money.
Mhm.
And they were supposed to have started that, so I'll check on that and
Okay.
just see what levels they're at, but I will also drive by.
okay.
I haven't heard from, I'm gonna jinx myself, I've not heard from him
Yeah,
since
yeah.
I emailed, but if I go by and the dimming starts, so at 9, I think it dims down lower. So probably by the time I leave, I should
Yeah.
be able to see how low it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I had. Scott had something.
I was just wondering, like, so they did, construction on North Main Street, the one where they tied into the water and sewer. Like, and there's a good dip there now that the frost has settled out. So is that up to Mark or is that up to the who is that following? Is it the landowner that paid to have that done, or is it on us because it was the water and sewer department, or was it highway?
Where was the construction?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
That blue house on North Main Street.
Oh, yeah, the new one, the new construction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Across from Hobart.
They owned both lots there,
Yeah.
and they built the new house
Yeah.
lower.
Yeah.
I believe that the owner's responsible for digging open the road.
Yeah, they were, and they did, and they patched it. Scott, I see what you're saying. It was done to a certain degree, but now that things have settled a little bit, it's kind of bumpy there. So I think they did, we checked with Jeff,
Okay.
but I would say if Jeff signed off of it, then the contractor has done what they were required to do.
We've talked about there is a thing called the opening road policy. And
Yeah.
we've talked about it in the past, and that may be something,
Okay.
because then we have a little bit more to fall back on,
Yeah.
saying, you have to, it's sunk now, you have to fix it.
Ask both Jeff and Mark but maybe Jeff thinks it's fine, but maybe Mark does. I don't know.
And take care of it, right?
But, yeah.
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 Speaking of that, I don't know if Mark has talked to DOT about the holes we talked about before. We talked about the 10-year plan that's never gonna happen, but
Right.
the holes by the fire station there, between the fire station and the gas station.
Oh, right.
And there's the one on West Shore Road on the tight corner out there.
Yeah.
That's getting pretty bad, so.
Can we ask Mark on the status of that?
Sorry, I was reading something.
Status on the road repair by the fire station
That's,
with DOT.
I might have that information, but I'll ask Mark.
Okay.
Jeff went to a meeting, at my place last week or the week before. They were having a meeting about the new DOT projects that are starting up, so I might have information on that already, but if not, I'll check.
Okay.
Right, because they also said they'd go look at the drains,
Yeah.
remember, the DOT guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was-
All right, any other items?
We keep coming up with stuff.
Chief, do you have any public comments?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Public safety building moving forward.
Great.
They ordered bathroom accessories. Must be real.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know, it won't be real to me until I see that building down. Yeah.
You got John, you've got that cord around your foot.
Oh, yeah. You can
Oh,
pull
wow.
out one of the guys.
Strawberry and.
I already did.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public under NHRSA 91A3, 2B, and C.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Les, second by Rob. Roll call vote, Carol?
Aye.
Aye.
Les?
Aye.
Rob? Aye for me.
Aye.
Thank you. We're in non-public.